Hey there, wizards. How's it going? If there's one detail the Harry Potter movies didn't stick to, it was the characters' ages, or even the timeline in which the story takes place. It's common to see flat-screen TVs, card systems in subway cars, and even bridges that shouldn't exist appearing in the movies. But these background details end up going pretty much unnoticed. But the age of the characters, for some of them, is really relevant. And people notice it a lot. So today, we're going to see what the real age of the Harry Potter characters was in the books, compare it with the age of the actors in the movies, and find out how old the characters would be today. All of that, all together. Starting with Walter Dursley, Harry's uncle. The character's age is uncertain,
but it's likely that he was born between 1956 and 1958, since he was about the same age as Petunia.
And also because he received an award in 1993 for 20 years of service at Grunnings, which was where he worked. In the first movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the character Walter would be around 33 or 34 years old. Like, that's my age right now. That's already in the timeline where Harry is 10 years old, right? When Harry starts receiving the letters. Because when Harry is left at the Dursleys' doorstep, still a baby at that point in time, Walter was around 23 or 24 years old. The actor who played Walter, Richard Griffiths, was 53 years old when he filmed Philosopher's Stone. So, that's a big age difference, 20 years apart. And that's something cool that the series is doing. They're choosing actors who are close in age to the characters. The actor who's going to play Walter in the series is about that age, you know? So you look at him and you say, he looks like he's in his early 30s. So from the leaked scenes and images of Walter, you can see that it's really close. And the current age of the character Walter is between 68 and 70 years old. As for Petunia, the character was born before 1960. That's because she's older than Lily, and Lily was born in 1960. And there wasn't much of an age difference between them, right? They didn't have a big age gap. So let's suppose she was born around 1958. That's pretty close in age, right? Just a 2-year difference.
It could even be 1959 because there are siblings who are just a year apart. So in 1991, Petunia would be 33 years old.
Whereas in the movies, the actress who played her, Fiona Shaw, was 43 years old. That's 10 years older. Petunia passed away sometime before 2020. We find this out in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So, if she were alive today, she would be around 67 years old. Just to clarify, I'm referring to the characters' current ages, not the actors. I mentioned the actors' ages only for comparison, but my focus is on the characters' current ages, like Albus Dumbledore.
In the first scene of the movie where Dumbledore appears, he is exactly 100 years old, because Dumbledore was born in 1981.
And that scene takes place in 1981, when he goes to leave baby Harry at the door. Later, when Harry is in his school year, when he goes to Hogwarts, Dumbledore is 110 years old. Dumbledore was played by Richard Harris, who at the time was 69 years old. I can't believe they didn't hire a 110-year-old actor that's messed up, right? No, there was no way, man. Impossible. Simply impossible. There are people who live that long, but I don't think they're in any condition to act, right? Unfortunately, Richard Harris passed away at 72 after filming Chamber of Secrets. And then, in Prisoner of Azkaban, he was replaced by Michael Gambon. And Michael Gambon was 64 years old, while Dumbledore was 113 years old. If Dumbledore were alive today, he would be 145 years old. Professor Minerva McGonagall's age is a problem nowadays in the Harry Potter story. It wasn't. Until the Fantastic Beasts movies were released, her age wasn't a problem. Today it's a mystery, right? But before the Fantastic Beasts movie, Minerva's birth date was 1935. That's because in the text about the character, which the author herself wrote, it says that Minerva graduated from Hogwarts and immediately started a career at the Ministry of Magic, where she stayed for 2 years.
After those 2 years, she realized it wasn't what she wanted. And then, she started teaching at Hogwarts.
And then, in the book Order of the Phoenix, Umbridge asks how long Minerva has been teaching.
and she said she would complete 39 years in December.
And that happens around October, more or less. So 1995 minus 39 years is 1956. And 1956 minus 2 is 1954.
Which would put the year Minerva graduated from Hogwarts at around 1954, since, she left Hogwarts and immediately started at the Ministry of Magic. If she joined the Ministry of Magic right after, stayed for 2 years, then started teaching at Hogwarts, and had been there for 39 years, then this calculation makes sense. If she graduated from Hogwarts in 1954, she must have spent 7 years at Hogwarts. 1954 minus 7 is 1947. Now, 1947 minus 12 is 1935. And why minus 12 and not minus 11? Because Minerva's birthday is in October, so she entered Hogwarts, and a month later turned 12 years old. Because in the year she turned 11, she couldn't enter, because you need to be fully 11 years old. So, in the Sorcerer's Stone scene, in that first scene there, in 1981, taking this age information into account, Minerva was 46 years old, and 56 years old when Harry starts his studies there, when she welcomes the students in front of the entrance to the Great Hall, while Meg Smith was 66 years old. That is, 20 years older than the scene where the character appears for the first time, and 10 years older in the rest of the movie. Now, Fantastic Beasts came out, right? Crimes of Grindelwald put Minerva there in a flashback, in the year 1909 with at least about 20 years old. So, my friends, in this flashback, Newt was in his 3rd year, and Newt was born in 1997, so we know this flashback is from 1909-1910. In other words, a big mess, a big confusion, just to insert Minerva's fan service there in Fantastic Beasts. Taking into consideration Minerva's age, assuming she was around 20 years old around 1909, then that means in the 1981 she was 93 years old. By the time Harry's school year starts, she would be 103 years old nowadays. Minerva is the current headmistress of Hogwarts. And taking both dates into consideration, in the first one, she would be 91 years old, while in the second, she would be 137 years old. It's just like Nazare doing the math, right? Hagrid was born on December 6, 1928. So, in the scene from Philosopher's Stone, when he arrives to drop off baby Harry, he is 53 years old. While in the scene where he goes to get Harry at the hut, at the Dursleys, he is 63 years old. Currently, Hagrid is 98 years old. Look, in 2 years, Hagrid will turn 100 years old, and Rob Coltrane, the legendary actor who brought the character to life in Philosopher's Stone, was 49 years old, which is actually pretty close. Molly Weasley. In 1991, in the scene where Molly meets Harry at the platform and helps him, the character is 41 years old. Meanwhile, Julie Walters, who is the actress that played Molly, was 49 years old. That's also a similar age. Today, Molly Weasley is 77 years old. Arthur Weasley appears for the first time in Chamber of Secrets, which is in the year 1992. The character was born on February 6, 1950. So, in 1992, he was 42 years old. Meanwhile, the actor Mark Williams was 41 years old, which is also very close in age. Currently, Arthur is 76 years old. One of the most striking age differences is between James and Lily Potter. They were both born in 1960. Tiago in March and Lillian in January. I think Tiago's birthday is in March or May. March 26 or May 26, I think it's March 26. It's March 27.
My memory is good, huh? But ask me about my family or friends' birthdays. I don't remember, not even Harry Potter's. Lillian and Tiago were 21 when they passed away in 1981, right?
And then, the actors who played them, Adrian Hollis, who played Tiago, was 43 years old, while Geraldine Somerville, who played Lillian, was 34 years old. In other words, the actor who played Tiago was 22 years older than the character, while the actress who played Lillian was 13 years older. And if you stop to think about it, it's not even the biggest age difference between characters, but it's the most noticeable. Because at 21, when someone is 21 years old, they're very youthful. But when they're 43, you can already see they're a more mature person, you know? Like, the appearance is different. So, man, it makes a big difference, a huge difference. In the series, they're fixing that. And Tiago and Lillian are both young. They haven't been revealed yet. But in the leaked images from the recorded scenes, you can already see that they're young. Harry's parents, if they were alive today, would be 66 years old Tom Marvolo Riddle. Tom Riddle, in Chamber of Secrets, in the preserved memory, is 16 years old. Meanwhile, the actor who played him, Christian Coulson, was 23 years old at the time. So, 7 years older.
In Half-Blood Prince, Tom is played by two actors, by Hero Fiennes Tiffin, who is actually Ralph Fiennes' nephew, by the way. Ralph Fiennes played the adult Voldemort.
At that time, Hero was about 9 to 10 years old, while Tom Riddle, as a child in the orphanage, was about 10 to 11.
As for Frank Delane, who played the teenage Voldemort in Half-Blood Prince, he was about 17 to 18 years old.
While Tom Riddle, the character, was about 16 to 17 years old now Voldemort. Voldemort was played by two different adult actors. Maybe because you've never even seen him. It's Richard Bremer. Richard Bremer played Voldemort in Sorcerer's Stone, in the scenes where he appears hooded, in the scene where he shows up behind Quirrell's head. Don't think that's just CGI. There's actually an actor there. Richard Bremer was, at that time, 46 years old, while Voldemort, who was born in 1926, was 65 years old. Since it's 1991 there, right? There's a great photo of Richard Bremer getting his makeup done, but unfortunately, his face as Voldemort was never revealed without being behind Quirrell's head. Right. Unfortunately.
Now, starting from Goblet of Fire, Voldemort was played by Ralph Fiennes, who was, my friends, believe it or not, 37 years old at the time the movie was filmed.
While Voldemort was 69 years old, that's a big difference. Man, Ralph Fiennes was 32 years younger than the character, while Bremer was 19 years younger when he played Voldemort. You can see that the age difference is much bigger than the age difference between Harry's parents. The age difference between Harry's parents stands out more. Voldemort, being somewhat humanoid, but lacking a normal appearance due to the dark arts, makes his age less noticeable. But Voldemort is an old guy when he comes back in Goblet of Fire. Man, 69 years old Cedric Diggory was 17 the character. And he was murdered, right? He died with the city, while Robert Pattinson, who played him, was 18 years old. Not that different. If Cedric were alive, he would be 49 years old today. Another character who was played by an actress much older was Moaning Myrtle. The ghost who haunted the girls' bathroom was 14 years old. She died with the city, so that's how old she was there. But the actress who played her, Shirley Henderson, was 36 years old. That is, a difference of more than 20 years between the character and the actress. In fact, during her audition, they told her, "Hey, don't say your age, just go there and do it." If Myrtle were alive today, she would be 97 years old. Remus Lupin, who was also born in 1960, was 33 years old in 1993, which is when he appears for the first time in Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, the actor who played Lupin, David Thewlis, was 40 years old, a difference of about 7 years. It wasn't that far off. But since Lupin was kind of worn out anyway, right? Because of the werewolf transformations. So him being a little older, looking a little older, I think it fit. It actually worked, right? Also, if Lupin were alive, he would be turning 66 years old, since he was born in 1960, right? The same age as Harry's parents. Sirius Black, after spending 12 years in Azkaban. The guy looked pretty rough, right? But Sirius was also 33 years old in Prisoner of Azkaban, right? Because he was born in 59, but he was 33, 34 there, in Prisoner of Azkaban, while Gary Oldman was 10 years older. 10 years Gary Oldman was, when he filmed Prisoner of Azkaban, 44 years old. If Sirius were alive, he would also be turning 67. Severus Snape, man, I think Snape is also, it's the same case as Harry's parents. It's a very noticeable difference, really, very noticeable.
He was 31 years old in Philosopher's Stone. 31. That means I'm older than Snape when he appears in Philosopher's Stone.
But Alan Rickman was 53 years old while filming the first movie. Actually, 54 years old, not 53. Man, that's a huge difference. In fact, there's a scene in the movie, which they made up in Deathly Hallows, when Snape was already almost 64 years old, where he holds Lily in his arms, dead, right? And they're both 21 years old. That scene is really weird, man. Snape is 21 years old there, you know?
And he's being played by a 64-year-old guy.
Not that Alan Rickman wasn't a great Snape, he was. But it's a very noticeable age difference for the character, very much so. And you don't see anyone complaining, right? You don't see anyone complaining.
Snape, if he were alive today,
would also be turning about 66. Kako, what about when you use other characters?
You didn't mention Harry, you didn't mention Hermione, you didn't mention Ron, you didn't mention Fred and Jay, right?
Because those characters were played by actors who were about the same age. Like, Daniel Radcliffe played Harry when he was 11 years old, and Harry was actually 11. He was turning 12 around that time.
Emma Watson was about 9 or 10, while Hermione was 11 or 12. Ron, I think, was also 12, you know? Or 11. Tom Felton was 13. The twins were 14 while the characters were 13. So it's really close, really close. I picked the ones that are actually more different.
So, did you like finding out the ages the characters had in the story compared to the actors' ages? Had you ever thought about that? Had you ever done that math?
If you like this video, leave your like and comment below. It's very welcome, alright? I'll see you in the next episode here at the Leaky Cauldron. Until then, mischief managed.